Anuj.
Hello.
Welcome to Cyber People Talks.
Thank you for having me.
How are you today?
Pretty good. The weather is a little gray, but the spirits are high.
Lovely. Nice to hear.
Yeah.
Okay, so Anuj, let's dive quickly into first understanding what is cyber threat intelligence.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
why is it important for organizations to have it?
Right. So if you see, our world has moved to a very digital society. Everything, every organization is having a digital first approach. Now, this is very good for them because now suddenly they can reach to a lot of their customers at a much faster pace. But this is also an opportunity for the adversaries. So adversaries actually look at these opportunities and say, hey, how can I actually go and either take the intellectual property of an organization or have some other motivation to get into an organization. And that is where the threat intelligence piece comes in so handy. So the CTI actually tells an organization, a department, a government institution as to how these different threats, either adversaries or malwares, operate, what is their modus operandi, and how it can actually be taken by an organization to fix the gaps that they may have. That is why it is very extremely important. The first step is to have a contextualized, complete intelligence requirements that the organization can take and operationalize.
And does every organization need it, or is it specific to the sector, size?
Look, so CTI in itself is a very fundamental thing. So, if there's an organization that wants to really is very serious in the security aspect, the first thing that they would need is an understanding of what is it that they should be protecting against. So CTI plays that very important role. Now, CTI can be in different shapes, sizes, and forms. I mean, if it is a SOC team, for example, security operation, they are more interested in the tactical and technical intelligence. Whereas if it is a CISO, then he's looking at more of a strategic intelligence at the higher level. Then if you are a government institution, you're looking at more of a geopolitical kind of an intelligence. So yes, I mean, if you say intelligence is extremely important, everybody, irrespective of the size, they definitely need some sort of an intelligence.
Right. And we'll come to this later, but if I understand this right, your organization, Gambit Cyber, is providing that kind of tool, that kind of platform to organizations.
Indeed.
Right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, what we do is we take the threat intelligence and we try to operationalize it. Now, operationalization is a very, it may be considered as a very broad term.
Yeah.
But what we really mean is that once you have the intelligence, okay, the next thing that you need is what is it that you can do with that intelligence. So if you see, the traditional tip or the threat intelligence providers, they collect the intelligence from each and every aspect, and they bring it into a centralized place. And then they say, hey, this is the intelligence. Now you as an organization go and make sense out of it. Where we fit in is that once you have this intelligence, we take the context of an organization, we take the threat intelligence, and we say, hey, you know what? Now these are the step-by-step actions that you can do in order to remediate the threats. That is what we mean by operationalization of intelligence. Now, this operationalization can happen in every aspect. So if you see a typical CISO organization consists of an IT ops team, a GRC team, and a SecOps team. Operationalization of intelligence in the IT ops team may consist of what are the controls I should be fixing. Operationalization in the GRC may mean what is the compliance framework I should be looking at improving. And operationalization on the SecOps team might say, what are the threat actors that are most prevalent in my industry, in my region, that I should be mitigating the threats. So it means different to different teams.
Yeah.
And we try to give that single pane of glass to the CISO through our platform.
Very interesting. And do you see that there is a lot of buzz going on in the market for this kind of a tool platform?
Yes, definitely. So if you see, just a couple of years back, Gartner coined the term as CTEM, which essentially means Cyber Threat Exposure Management. This term came into about defining a holistic cyber program for an organization to say, hey, you know what? Up until now, very traditionally, you have been doing things in silos. Okay, what is it that you can do to bring all of these together, prioritize, scope things from the cyber risk perspective, then prioritize what is most relevant to you, and then validate it, and then operationalize your resources around effectively mitigating the entire plethora of threats that you may be. So yes, CTEM is a big buzzword, but yes, it's it's also a very broad scope.
Yeah. And how can you explain a little bit more about this cyber threat exposure management? You
Right.
said, how is it useful for the organizations?
Yeah, so look, cyber threat exposure management in its most basic form provides a program for an organization to say, hey, what is it that I can do in a step by step manner so that I can see my exposure or threat exposure decreasing, and so that I can see, hey, you know what, I'm making up step by step progress towards achieving that security goal of mine. Okay, now in general, CTEM has five different parts. One is like the very first thing is that you have to scope. What is it that you are trying to protect? Which it may be the assets you're trying to protect. It may be the attack surface that you're looking at. So you try to scope. Okay? Once you've scoped out of that scope may come 100,000 things that you have to do. Okay. So the next thing comes is how do you prioritize? What is it that you need to prioritize? Okay. Once you've prioritized that, okay, say, okay, you know what, my SecOps team will do these things, my GRC team will do these things. Then you start validating, okay, whether the threats actually combines with the risk that I perceive. Okay, so whether the likelihood is actually the one that I have understood. So then you try to validate. Once you've done that validation, then you say, okay, you know what? Now I understand that this may be a threat. Now let me go and tell my resources that these are the things we need to do. So yeah, it's a big aspect. So you take vulnerability management into account, you take the EDR systems into account, you take the telemetry logs into account, and then you try to bring them all together.
Yeah. So, if we look at the history of cybersecurity in general, it has grown over the years, and organizations weren't very happy having this topic discussed, because they always thought that it's a cost to the organization.
Right.
Now things are changing, geopolitical situation is changing, and organizations are understanding the importance of it. Do you see that this fairly new topic you're talking about has taken some space in the market, or is it still surfacing at a superficial level?
No, it has definitely taken a lot of space in the market. If you see in the last just couple of years, okay, almost everybody, every major player in the cybersecurity, or even a lot of startups are springing up in this space, because they see not just that it is a superficial topic, but they actually see that they can provide value to an organization by bringing that single view and providing them that framework to bring every aspect of the things together. So yes, I mean, it is definitely not superficial. Even if you see Gartner analysts, they are talking a lot about it, and there are organizations that are already providing services in this field.
Okay, all right. So it's not very new, but it's been there for some time.
Yes.
So in simple words, Anuj, what strategy should an organization adopt to have their cyber threat exposure managed?
So usually what happens is, as an organization, you need to have at least some sort of cyber capability in-house. Okay? If you have to make sense, or if you have to understand the whole CTEM aspect. Otherwise, then you are too naive of an organization to even take the benefit of a CTEM. So the first and the foremost thing is that an organization should have a basic cyber security practice in place, a simple CTI team, and then they can follow a step-by-step process. So they can, for example, very, very simple example is that they can look at the vulnerabilities that are most relevant to them. They can prioritize, and they can then test it out, and then they can operationalize it. But that's a very, very, very small piece, which some of the organizations are doing. What as an organization, if you already have that in place, what is it that you can do in order to be at that maturity level? Is that you need to understand the threats that are relevant to you. Then you need to understand the behaviors that those threats possess. You should have the capability to then test and validate your understanding and findings in your environment. And out of those testing and validation should come out a practice of how you can hunt, detect, and mitigate those threats. So it's a program that that always starts from the top down. It cannot happen from bottom up. So you cannot expect a SecOps team to start this program. It always has to be from the board or the CISO level. And then they define this program, and then they keep on maturing on this.
And how are CISOs behaving around this topic? Do you think they are interested?
Very much, actually. You'd be very surprised. We've talked to more than 15 CISOs across Europe and as well as Asia Pac. Everybody is interested. Okay.
Lovely.
Definitely, some of them are more interested than the others, depending upon where they are in the journey. But everybody acknowledges that yes, this is a problem and this is a pain point, and that we should actually be looking to do something about it.
Yeah.
So yes.
Yeah. So you talk to so many people. You've just recently spoken to so many CISOs. What are their typical challenges when it comes to managing their cyber threat exposure?
Okay. I'll tell you a very recent example. Just yesterday we were talking to a CISO of a large bank. And one of the things he came out is like, hey, I have so many security tools. Okay. What is it I should do to, one, obviously manage them and understand whether they are really bringing value to me, right? Now, this is a very real problem, okay? And CTEM as a program can actually help you understand, okay, which of the security tools is actually providing you that value, okay? And then where is it you should be spending your time, effort, and money, in which functional areas, whether you want to be more on the governance side, whether you want to be more on the detection side, whether you want to be more on the response and recover side. And then you can easily, or you should be able to, with the CTEM program, you should be able to easily map across these functional areas your security products and see the value that they bring.
Yeah. And when I looked at your website, I also saw that there is some, the platform that you have is AI driven.
Yes.
So let's talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah.
So give us an overview of how is it AI driven and what does it do?
Okay. First, I'll tell you the philosophy that we came about. We strongly believe that AI is changing the way we perceive or solve a problem. Okay? And that same philosophy we have tried to build in our platform. So we call it as an AI native or an AI driven platform. The simple philosophy is that for every feature or the module that we try to build, the first thing that we ask is there a way for us to enhance the user experience using AI? And if the answer comes out to be yes, we try to use that aspect in our platform. So that is why we call it as a very AI native and AI driven. We also, and sometimes people may take it as a not so positive thing, but we strongly believe that a cybersecurity platform that is not embracing AI will become a dinosaur in 5 years. But
Yeah.
it's to be seen. But I think if we do not, so AI is doing to the world what cloud did to on-prem, almost 10 years back.
Yeah.
Initially people were hesitant. Hey, you know what? Where is my data? It's sitting on the cloud. I don't even have any control. And you see how the world has changed.
Yeah.
That is exactly what will happen with AI.
Right. There are a lot of speculations and also some fears attached to it.
100%.
And some people I speak to, they say, oh, it's absolutely an amazing thing to have and we should coexist. But at the same time, some people are fearing it as well, that they're going to eat up our jobs. So what's your take on that?
Whether AI will eat up the jobs, I think what AI will do is AI will make people more efficient. Okay, and with the efficiency coming in, definitely the need for the resources in that area will decrease. But what will happen is that this in itself, the whole AI thing will in itself create a brand new category for the people to then go learn, skill themselves, and suddenly, if you're making, an X amount of money, you'll suddenly start making 2x or 3x because now you are on that new path.
Yeah.
So I mean, whether it'll take away jobs, definitely take away some of the mundane jobs, which typically will happen. Any new technology advancement will or changes that line, but it will also create a lot more jobs.
Yeah. I also strongly believe that. And, in the previous podcast, my guest also mentioned that it's not only that it's going to eat up our jobs, but it's going to create more and we will coexist.
Exactly.
So that is something that stuck with me.
Yeah.
Right. So let's talk now a little bit about your organization. I want to know your story.
Yeah.
How did it start? What came to your mind? I think because you've worked about 2 decades before.
Yeah.
How did Gambit start?
Yeah, that's a very a good question. So I've been in this in the technology industry for more than 2 decades, as you rightly pointed out. I'm almost a decade in the cybersecurity industry. I started with a company called Eyesight Partners, a very wonderful company taken over by FireEye. Then FireEye bought Mandiant, and then finally I went into a company called Intel 471, where I was the chief architect looking at their technology strategy. And then, in the last, I always had this thing of doing something on my own, and I always kept on playing with some of the ideas. But I think in the last 2 years, that realization came that while there is a lot of innovation going on, okay, the traditional cybersecurity companies are moving at a much slower pace than what was anticipated. Okay, and I had my own ideas. I really wanted to test them out. I always wanted to validate them, and I had a strong feeling about it. So then last year around the same time, I took the plunge and. I was in India, and I woke up in the morning and said, "Hey, you know what? I think I should follow my passion." And I made a calculated decision, and that's how Gambit came into being.
It is such a coincidence that 5 years back in 2019, I also took the plunge in December to start Cyber People. So I'm sure you're going to be successful.
Absolutely. Wonderful. Yeah.
No, many congratulations to you and more power to you guys. I do want you to give some message to our young talent who are, like you, thinking of starting up something, not just in cybersecurity, but in general, who want to become entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
What's your message for them?
So one of the key things is that, in order for anybody to start a business, they should have at least three or four things. One, they should either have a complete subject matter expertise. Okay. Two, they should have a good network that they can go and validate their findings. Three, they should know how to build quickly and efficiently. This third point is sometimes underplayed, okay, but it becomes so extremely important in such a fast-paced environment that if you do not build and validate quickly and iterate quickly, you'll probably just die. Okay? And the final thing is you need to have that sales acumen. Okay. When I started Gambit Cyber, I always knew that building a product is only probably 30 to 40% of the job. Okay. Rest 60 to 70% is selling. Okay. If you know how to sell, then even if you do not have that best of the best product, you can still succeed.
Yeah.
But if you have the best of the best products and you do not know how to sell, okay, it's very difficult to succeed.
Yeah.
So that's the message. Like, you should have a good person who can sell for you, and you should have a good acumen on how you need to go about building a product.
Yeah, yeah. Great. I think these 5 pointers are actually the overall a wholesome, personality of a successful business.
Yes.
I would say.
Indeed.
Right?
Indeed.
Okay. I have to move to my next round, which is a rapid fire round.
Okay.
It's 10 questions, and you need to answer them as quickly as possible.
I will try.
Okay, let's have some fun then.
Yeah.
What is the most common cybersecurity mistake that people make?
They assume that a secure website is secure.
Yeah, okay. Apple or Android for security?
100% Apple.
Yeah, okay. I have Apple.
Oh, yeah.
What's your favorite cybersecurity or movie or podcast?
Mr. Robot is a series where the protagonist was Elliot, who was a cyber researcher.
Okay.
Very good series. Everybody should watch that.
Okay, that's on my list then. I haven't watched it.
Yeah.
All right. What's your best password advice in 3 words?
Use password managers. Yeah.
Okay. If you could have any one superpower for cybersecurity, what would that be?
Ooh. I don't believe in superpowers. There's no shortcut to cybersecurity. No. So yeah, you have to grind yourself.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
What is your go-to cybersecurity app or tool?
What is my go-to cybersecurity app or tool? I think I'm building that.
Gambit. I was going to say that.
I'm building that.
Yeah. One cybersecurity myth that you would like to bust.
Also, the same thing I mentioned. People assume that if a website is secure, then it cannot have unsecure malware hosted on it. That's a myth. Even a more secure website can actually have malwares done. So just be careful.
Yeah. What is your personal cybersecurity mantra?
You should keep learning. This domain is so huge and so vast, okay, that you do not have you're not short of learning those things. Like, you should always keep yourself up to date as much as possible.
Yeah. I think you kind of answered this, but okay. What would you say to a startup in cybersecurity?
Persistence and execution. Those are the keys. Just keep doing that and you'll be successful.
Yeah, I agree. What's your favorite cybersecurity success story?
I'm still building that.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Great. I think it was a wonderful podcast, short and sweet, but there was a lot to learn. I think you pinpointed amazing pointers for startups telling us how organizations should create their strategies, what is cyber threat exposure management, operationalization. I didn't know that. I think overall we've hit a lot of nice pointers here for the audience. So thank you so much, Anuj. It was wonderful having you, and all the best for Gambit Cyber.
No, thank you so much for having me, Khushbu. And it's wonderful just to sit here, answer these questions, and then bring that to the audience. So thank you very much.
You're most welcome.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Thank you.